Alright, about to do some aluminium on the mini lathe, so I cleaned it up. There's this package turned up. Let's see what it is. A minute chuck key. Very sweet. Does it fit the other one? Not really. Oh well, that means my new chuck key won't fit this. Not to worry. Four Allen key bolts. Grade 6.6, 8.8, grade 8.8. A piece of polystyrene, and there's the chuck, and some more polystyrene. Oily. Polystyrene. Not bad then. 3000 RPM maximum speed. Okay. And the fixings are on the outside, so I will have to make a back plate for it. Take a look at one of these jaws. That jaw isn't ground properly, some of it's missing. That jaw isn't ground properly, some of it's missing. Which leaves it a little bit loose there. So same on that jaw. There wasn't enough material there for them to grind it. Again there. Obviously the casting for this jaw there wasn't enough material to grind it properly. So what you get is slop from new. Well, that was terrible. Yep, terrible. Oh, that one's good, look. There you go, that one's perfect, that side. That's what it should look like. And there's a bit of a inclusion on that side. If they were all like that, that would be acceptable, but they're not. 3 of them are knackered. F from new, I call it. F with an ED at the end from new. Yeah, and that one's tight. That one's loose, that one's loose, that one's loose, but that one's tight. Because they had enough material on that one. So, a complaint is happening, basically. So I'm pretty sure something's going to go wrong, but it will be a laugh, that is for sure. I'm not sure if this is going to work at all. I need a back plate for me chuck. I want it to be steel because steel is stronger than cast iron. So I have bolted the vice down where the moving jaw would be, and then I've clamped the vice using the thready here, pushed it against the fixed jaw, hold in position. I've lined it up in the centre there. Yeah, look at all my mess over there. It won't be that long now. We're really close now to being able to get the new roof on the garage. Get the new roof on the garage, and then things can be tidy. The roof's taken a long time because I'm making it. It's steel. Anyway, I need this done. This is another distraction from the roof. And that looks like it's going to cut straight. So, got a bit of a problem with the Bridgeport. A couple of problems really. See the 2 slits there? Well, one was going up, broke the slitting saw a little bit, and we had a bit of a wander. So I should get 6 M12s and at least 2 M10s. Hopefully 3 M10s, but we'll see. Might get 4, depends. Oh, it's gone up. I'll have a thin M10 anyway. I'm pretty certain I'll get 6 M12s. And while I was doing that, I made the arbor, which probably you saw. I chipped 3 or 4 teeth off of the slitting saw, not to worry, it'll be alright. And smoke started coming out of the motor. Still works, but I think a new motor is in need. That's just the fixed jaw off, the moving jaw off of the bandsaw. So let's get the bandsaw plugged in into my ultra safe wiring. Here it is. Here's the ultra safe wiring. I haven't put those high energy usage halogen light bulbs up yet. There's one, and the light it gives off diffuses. The light comes out of those bright things, and my eyes don't hurt anymore in here. Although it's brighter, my eyes don't hurt being in here anymore, which is good. So this doesn't have a switch. I've got a switch for it. I should fit that really. Should I fit that switch? Let's do even more complicated stuff and not do what I'm doing. So anyway, this is the procedure at the moment. Get it somewhere close, get it so it's nearly in, so I can kick it at will. Alright, okay, when I kick that, things will start. Now, I haven't bolted the little round thing in here yet, so I have to be careful I don't cut the finger off. We'll just lift it up off the workpiece a little bit. Switch it on, I'll just kick that. Put a bit more pressure on the saw. And leave that. While I'm messing around with this in here, so leave that cut in. I don't need that there anymore. Slip that underneath, and I've got 3 slugs of aluminium. These are going to be the thing for the rotary table, the surface which I bolt down to, the sacrificial standoffs. So I'm just going to make them. Okay, so far I have set that tool on centre height, very precariously, on a couple of inappropriate shims, and let's go and have a look and see how the bandsaw's getting on. Here she is. It's cutting. Of course, it's only going to get slower from here on inwards now. I'm going to slow down the feed rate anyway, so we'll tighten the tension up on the. Give that a few tensions just to slow it down, so it can just slide through instead of trying to force its way through. Well, let's watch this clean up then. I was running it dry, so it's a bit of a bad surface finish. Let's try a bit of WD-40 on it. That is not teabag. Right, next, let me show you the next thing. So we're at the back of the lathe and I'm looking at the spindle. I want some collars for inside to go either side of the top gear to stop it from rattling side to side, because I'm sure that's what's happening. So I'm going to measure that external diameter. I'll measure the external diameter of the nut and the external diameter of the spindle. I'll make the ID a couple of tenths bigger than the spindle, and I'll make the OD around about the same kind of OD as, so the ID slightly bigger than that and the OD around about the same size as that nut, and I'll make one off each. Don't know how big I need them, so I'm going to make this one around about 4mm. I might make them all 4mm. Yeah, let's just make them all 4mm. I'm going to make a load of 4mm spacers basically, and then from there I can mill down or do whatever I need to do to make them the right size, because this spindle will be in pieces. Okay, many hours later, and this crooked cutting saw isn't doing bad. I'm trying to get a bit of a bow in it now, so I'm going to have to adjust it. Well, I had to finish the last little bit off there with the hacksaw by hand. So you can see about an inch I had to cut through. But this wonky cutting bandsaw is terrible. Absolutely terrible, that is. I'd be surprised if there's more than 20,000 worth of clean up on that. Over 130mm diameter piece of steel. Cut stupidly. And double cutted as well. Cut through most of it, then I span it and cut through a lot more of it. The blade jammed, it's probably broken. Let's have a look at it, see if the blade's broken. Plug it back in again. Blade is broken. No, I think it'll live to fight another day. Good. So basically there's two back plates there now. If I want to get another 5-inch chuck for this lathe, I can. Excellent. Continuing on. That's the bit of steel that's cut in half. That's the manky really end bit. See, there's a nice shiny bit here. That was harder than the rest of it. There was a hard section all the way around the outside, and that's a bit left there. So I took about 100,000 going up and down, up and down, up and down with a 20mm cutter, and the finish is useless. So I need to do something about that. They're still there waiting to be done, and that's still there waiting to be done. That worked absolutely fantastic. This is all waiting to be done. That's there waiting to be put in. My switch packed up, so I'd take it out and do some funky stuff with this switch. But it's now working, so I've been deburring T-nuts, nearly done, well, I've done 3. The slitting saw operation didn't quite go right, it started wandering off, so we've got a bit of unusual cut in that one. Can you see that there? Yeah, and there's this one, look at this one here. So these, instead of being 300,000 thickness on this bottom flange, it might be 250 or 260. Is there any more like that? No. So I think it's just 2, which isn't bad. You might have spotted what I'm doing already, but this is a brazed carbide insert bit on a extremely fine thread something. Don't know what it is, but it came with my Bridgeport in that unit there, which is a fly cutter of some sort. So I'm going to touch that up on the greenstone, touch it up, get the chip out the end of it. Yeah, it took some abuse last time it was used. I've just hit it with the diamond hone just to see if I was going to use it as it was. I thought, no, forget it. Just going to hit it on the diamond, on the greenstone now, sharpen it up, hone it, and see how it runs. And I shall fly cut that piece in the Bridgeport at the moment. There's not much going on here, just more mess accumulating before I decide to clean it up again. And The shaper voice is a bit big for the shaper. I might sell it and get a slightly smaller one. Don't know yet. That fan noise was the solar. Oh, the solar. What's the solar doing? So look. The solar's at, you can see it better than me, 27.5. The 12 volt system's at 12.4. And it's 30 degrees in the garage. That's centigrade, that is. Degrees centigrade. 30 degrees, it's a bit sweaty in here. Put the fan on. So put the fan on. And we'll just watch the voltage go down. Maybe. Although the sun's on it at the moment, it should be over a kilowatt. So second speed. Yeah, it's going down a bit. Third speed. And the swingy side to side motor. There we go. So that drags the voltage down a bit. So now the fan's going from side to side. And all this light is working off the solar, just off 4 panels. It's 1 kilowatts worth of panels. I think these are 24 watts, or 24, 50, 100, 125. That one there is 40, that little one there, 40. So what we're at now, we're about 300. And that is let's just read the stick on it. It comes back around again. It can't much more than 100 watts, can it? It's a pretty big fan. That's 50 watts, so we're running about 400 watts, and that's apparently a 600 watt inverter, so that's what's running it on, that inverter there, with that wonderful plug arrangement all plugged in. Sweet, hey? Well, there's some more lights around the outside. If I switch them on, if I remember how to switch them on. How do I switch them on? I can't remember how to switch them on. It's a long time. So this light here, and this light here, and there's a light underneath there, work off something, but I can't remember what it is. So I can't switch them on to show you, but they make more illumination around the bench area when I'm working on here, when I'm working around here. Anyhow, back to work. Yeah, more half-finished projects. Oh my word, here we go. Oh, I better zoom out a bit. So, it's ready! Me 36 volt battery is on top of the lathe because the lathe runs on solar power. My house is dual, it's on grid and off grid, and I like to get as much power out of the sun as possible. I have batteries, so you can see there's a socket down here which is sort of bunged in at the moment. That's running solar. The fan that you can hear in the background, that's running solar. The lights are on the grid, but that's also powered by solar as well, because I've got a grid tie solar system as well with another battery, so I am 100% solar at present. Anyway, unfinished projects. What we've got here is back plate for the 4-jaw chuck. It's faced off on one side, so that's ready to go onto the rotary table and have the perimeterly, you know what I mean, the first land put on, so I can mount it to the chuck and then turn it properly, so then I can flip it around and put it on, and then face the front off and then put the 4-jaw onto it. So that's going to be a rigmarole. I wanted to put it into the 3-jaw there, but it doesn't fit into that 3-jaw. It's not very big. Anyway, the lack of diameter of jaws will soon be over as I get a 5-inch chuck in it. I don't think I'm going to be getting a 3-jaw for it. I might get a 6-jaw, a 5-inch 6-jaw, which can go onto the whole rook as well, but I prefer to get a 6 or 7-inch 6-jaw for the whole rook, to be fair. And the other unfinished project you can see there is the aluminium slug, and there's two more up there. They are the sacrificial standoffs for the rotary table, and I think I've already shown you the T-nuts in the garage as well. And that's all I got done on these days off, because I was laid up in bed for two of my days off. I get 3 days off every 6 days. I didn't think I did too bad. So there's nothing finished this week at all, but I did get some EN19 turning in, a little bit of aluminium turning, and showed you bits and bobs of the saw working and weird cuts and what have you. So all in all, happy with this weekend's work, or my weekend anyway. It's usually in a week, it just happens to be on a weekend this time. And amazingly, the battery has finished charging as well. Bonus! I can now go to bed ready for work in the morning. Hello and welcome. So today we're on the mini lathe, and as you can see I have started, but I thought this was quite interesting, as there's going to be some improvements to this mini lathe. I don't know when the improvement is going to happen, but there is going to be some improvements, and one of them is going to be to the spindle bearings. At the moment it is running the standard mini lathe spindle bearings, and by the way, this is a CJ0618A. I believe that's that Amadale lathe, although it doesn't quite look like it because of all the shields that have slowly been added to it. Anyhow, today I've got some, as we call it, EN19t. I think that's equivalent to 4140, pretty certain, or chrome moly or chrome vanadium. It's got both molybdenum and vanadium inside it, but in Europe we call it EN19t, or at least in the UK we do. It is pre-hardened and tempered to approximately 43 Rockwell C, so it's not really hard. It's still machinable, but it is pretty hard stuff. It's good enough to make a tool with, and it stand to some light work that the kind of person that has a mini lathe would offer to such a tool. So, you know, it's not as hard as chrome vanadium or EN19t could, or EN19 could be, but it is a type of steel which is made so you can machine it, basically, but it be hard. It's good stuff, and it machines very nicely on a machine which can handle it. Now, last night when I started this, I'm going to zoom in onto that chatter. There we go, you can see the chatter now. I was getting that chatter, and as you can see I've taken around about 1 millimetre off the workpiece so far, and I stopped at 0 on the scale. Now you can see these scales take 0.025 millimeters per increment. So that would be 0.05 total diameter removal, because this is radius, or it's 1/1000 per increment, so it's each increment there is 2/1000 total removal. So I was taking that, 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 and that, so that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10,000, 5,000 per side total removal at a reasonably high speed, and it was giving me that finish. Let's demonstrate that, as I've just put that cut on. You've seen it. Let's turn the machine on. Now, we're not finished the machine yet, so it's a work in progress. So at present we release the safety switch by pressing it the way the arrow says, so release it, bring it up, press the green button, and the red light appears. Now there's no soft start on this controller I have inside it, so I'm going to turn it right down for a start. And you saw it around about 3 o'clock. And I'm going to turn it into forwards. If I turn it down a bit slower, you can see that's going forwards now. So we'll bring that speed up. And that's how fast I was running. So I'm just going to set up and I'll show you what that cut looks like. Okay, I'll bit of a zoom in onto that. There you go. Still getting that chatter going down it. Just zoom you back out a little bit. I'm going to try a little bit more speed. And I'm going to try a lesser depth of cut. So let me just bring that back to where it was. That's 5 increments. So we'll go 1, 2.5 increments now. So that's 5 thou total removal. This is going to take absolutely ages because that's got to come down to 20 mil. At least 20 mil. Because that's the biggest collet I've got. It's 32 mil, so I've got 12 mil to take off. If I'm taking off 5 thou per side, that's 0.14. Jeepers creepers. That's 8 times 12. So it's a lot of passes. So let's see what it goes like at 2.5. So the first pass is going to be at 2.5. Then I'm going to try 3 and 4 and then 5. By that time the diameter should start coming down. Once it gets to a certain diameter, this lathe can handle it. It's just that it's too big. I think it's around about 24 millimeters. It will stop chattering. Anyway, let's have a look at that and see what that looks like. Can you see the cutting tool there? Just about. Let me just bring you back out a little bit further so you can see the whole. There you go. You can see the whole cut at that. Right, let's go. Let's do it. Oh, and by the way, this is a shield to stop it from spraying red hot chips all over me, and to save some from going on the floor. If I wanted to go faster, I'd better put it into high gear. I'm just putting it into high gear. There we go, we're in high gear now. Now the gears might slip, but we will see. And that's the problem I'm having at the moment, so I can't do that because it's slipping out of that gear. So hopefully it will stay in low gear, but we'll see. I can't do that obviously, as you could see. And here, Okay, like I said, I started off at 2,500, I moved up to 3, then I moved up to 4, it seemed to be handling that. Then I moved up to 6 with some oil, the first cut with oil was 6. Then I went 7, 8, 9, 10, just because that worked out, that was landing on an equal number. And I've just been taking 10 thou cuts, which is a 1/4 millimetre, and it's taking that quite nicely, so I'm just going to carry on doing that until it's right down to the size that I want. Rightio, I continued cutting 10 thou cuts, and then towards the end I think I had 0.8 of a mil left, and it ends up it is 10 thou per side I was taking, so it's 20 thou, half a mil. It was about half a mil per side I was taking. Then I split the last 0.8 into 0.4 cuts and forced it down the shaft with my hand to get a half decent surface finish. And we finished it, well, we finished at about 20 mil, which is what I wanted. So it might be 4/100th of a millimetre above 20 mil. It is cooling down, it was 8/100ths, but now it's down to 4/100ths. And the surface finish I got, terrible. Yeah, it's a bit of a saw blade, so hopefully they'll be around about 0.02, but I can just sand it down a little bit to get it exactly 20 mil. And if I haven't made it clear what this is going to be a slitting saw arbor. So tonight I will let that cool down until the next time I can work on the lathe. I'm just done an hour now after I come back from work, and that is enough for me tonight. I've took that down from full diameter to 20 mil. So that's 35 millimeters. You can see that, yeah, 35 millimeters down to 20 mil in just less than an hour. So pretty happy with that. And that's 44 millimeter, yeah, about 43 millimeters long. So it ain't done bad. And this is the chips I'm just getting, just strings after strings after strings. And the more silvery, it's quite interesting, the more silvery chips I got was when I was pressing harder and forcing the cutter down the shaft a lot quicker. When I was going slower, it was still coming off blue and hot. And the shaft is warm. Yeah, I don't want to touch it really, it's quite warm. But I think over the last 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, I was forcing it down really, really fast, and the chips were coming off silver. And I think the shaft was cooling down from the point it was at. But anyway, that's EN19t on the mini lathe. I will show you the part after I've finished it. I've also got another piece of EN19t here to make the cover cap, which will be obviously, when this is flipped around and put into a collet, then I'll be putting a land on that side to accept the arbor, so the arbor is centralised. Drilling and tapping the centre of it for a certain thread size, M6, M8, something like that. And then I'll be drilling this through the centre clearance for that pinch bolt, and I'll be putting a bore inside there, which will be a close match to the land which I cut on the front of that, to sandwich the slitting saw in between it all. And I'll also put a counter bore in that for the cap screw, and I'm probably going to put some 45-degree chamfers on it, or 45-degree chamfer down the back here, all the gubbins at the front there, and then when I've counterbored it at the front there for the Allen key, then I put a 45, a really deep 45 on the front of this as well, just to make it look a bit more sleek. And sand it to size with sandpaper. I hope it hasn't gone under size. I don't think it has. No, I don't think it has, I think it's fine. No, like I say, I'll bring you back and I'll show you the finished article, because I just wanted to highlight that harder steels on the mini lathe is not impossible. This is not by any means upgraded fully in the spindle area and what have you. And the fun thing will be, in the Chinese mini lathe series, Might be next year, might be the year after. When the bearings are upgraded and the headstock's completely finished, how I'm going to do it. It's a bit of a secret what I'm doing inside the headstock, but it's I'm going to be doing some hopefully amazing stuff inside the headstock there. We'll see if I can actually get a non-rippled finish, a perfectly glossy finish on it, and take bigger cuts. This was 10 thou cuts per side, half a mil total material removal. I want to be able to do a mil total removal and have a really good surface finish, and have it do it with power feed and not protest and not slip gears and be good. So as promised, here's the slitting saw arbor after I've used it once. Now when the slitting saw dug in and broke 4 teeth off, this is what happened to it. It galled the shaft a little bit there, and then as I extracted it, it scratched it. And there's obviously a spin mark all the way around it at that point there, which says to me that the collet has some kind of defect inside it. They were only cheap collets. And when I first started, I was trying to either grind the end. I didn't put a 45 at the front. I should have put a 45 at the front. I was trying to grind that on the vise. It's always good when you do stuff like that. Anyway, I wanted to get a really shiny surface finish without doing any sanding here. So I pelted the lathe at full whack and gave it a reasonably light cut. I think I took a 10 thou per side, 20 thou cut, plunged that carbide into it, and you can see that it tried to make that beautiful finish, but it just chatters. Can we see that? I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that beautiful chatter. I thought, well, that's some of that, I'll leave that on there. If it weren't for the chatter, that would have been a really, really nice finish. Anyway, it's got a M10 cap screw, and that's countersunk in at the top there. And it's got a 20 or 22 mil land on it there to hold the slitting saw, and then that's bored inside it so it meets onto it nicely. And that's it, all finished. It's drilled and tapped obviously for M10 down deep, and I think it was 22 millimeters to accept the bolts which I had. So that's it. I think I'm going to put it back in the forge jaw once the forge jaw is finished. In fact, I'm going to put it back in the forge jaw once the forge jaw is finished. It's probably one of the first things I'll do is I'll grab it there on the chatter marks, and I'll bring this down to the next size collet I've got, which I think is 16 mil, or I might bring it down to 3/4. I've got a 3/4 collet, and to clean this surface back up again, and then I'll flip it round and I'll put a 45 on the front here as well, because it needs it obviously. And that's it, it's bad done. It's pretty good. I mean, before I used it and started abusing it, it looked pretty reasonable really. There you have it, EN19t on the mini lathe. Don't be scared of it, it's a nice steel. The tools I've made out of it stand up to a little bit of abuse. Obviously not being seized up and twisted out. Not a lot stands up to that, to be fair, so yeah, it's a good steel to use. It takes a little bit of, you know, messing about to get the cut right. I could have done with probably having 3 or 4 different angles of carbide, or maybe trying an insert tool on it, which I haven't even set insert tools on this lathe yet, as this piece of EN8 here, which you're looking at there. Let me zoom out a little bit maybe. Is that fully zoomed out? I know you're fully zoomed out. Anyway, that piece of EN8 here, which comes right up out of the picture, is going to be tool holders. Yeah, it's quite heavy. For the little quick change tool post up here of the MCO one. and then I'll set more stuff up. That'll be the first 5 or 6 tool holders, including that one there. That'll be 7 tool holders. I'll put some carbide in them, and I'll keep these with other tools in it for lesser used, but stuff I want pre-set up. And I believe I'm going to leave the parting blade. I'm thinking I'm going to make a proper parting blade for the Holbrook as well, which is close in, because this is fantastic. Highly recommend doing that, getting the parting blade in as close as possible. You know those parting blades, let me show you one. So I've got that style, which is called the Glanz style parting blade. That is fantastic, okay, but I'm going to make it better. And then I've got the standard high-speed steel parting blade. This is great in brass and aluminium and stuff, but when you start putting it into steel, especially the parting blades I've got, these are cheap Chinese high-speed steel. It's a bit brittle and it goes dull really quickly, so you're constantly having to hone it or it breaks. So you've got that choice. As you can see, I've got one there set up for steel with a nice hook at the front of it, and then that one there set up for aluminium and brass, which is just basically a straight top on it. That works brilliant on, even the steel one works good on aluminium and brass, but it works good on steel, that one does as well. Anyway, the point I was getting at, you see how that Glanz type one there is straight into a normal tool holder. Well, if I make the tool holder itself, if I make one of these tool holders with the Glanz style clamp integrated into it, I can get the tool holder closer to the tool post, and the closer it is to the tool post, this works fantastic. This is useless on the Holbrook, absolutely useless, just break tips off all the time and it doesn't do anything. I've parted quite a few things in the mini lathe, and it seems the mini lathe can part better than the Holbrook. I know it can't, but it just seems as it can, because it does. It parts really well. And the other 2 things which I forgot to show earlier on, where I've made these 2 spacers for inside the headstock, and the third one that I was talking of will come out of that bit there, which hasn't been done yet. The other two blocks are faced off on both sides, so they're all ready to rock and roll. So that's what I've done. Like I said, I was laid up in bed for a couple of days. I had COVID, I wasn't a COVID. I have other problems. I've had quite a few injuries when I was a kid. When you're falling about, you know, playing football and all sorts of things, and some of them come back to haunt me every now and again. So I spent 2 days of agony in bed. But I got that done, you know, so I was quite happy. And now I've shown you that, because I was a bit disappointed when I was editing the video that I didn't show you that. I thought I had, but I hadn't. Anyhow, we can now group in 6s in the UK. Awesome. Let's get at it, eh? Let's get back at it. Let's build society back up again, eh?